everyone, welcome to episode 63 of the Arieknits podcast. My name is Ariel and this is a video podcast where I talk about all the things that I have been knitting and spinning on for the past week. And lately I have also been sewing, so not too much, but I do have some sewing things to share with you all as well. And I have some new cast-ons this week that I'm really excited about. I started working on another one of my older whips that I haven't touched since I think sometime last year, although it was like end of last year, but yeah, it's back and I can't wait to share it all with you today. So today it is Saturday, February 24th, and we'll start with what I am wearing today. It is also a finished object, but if you can maybe tell, it is not a knitted finished object. It is a sewn finished object. I finished my Laurence top. It is a sewing pattern by Vivian, Shao, Chen, and I just wanted to I thought it was a good idea, since I want to get back into sewing just a little bit more, to start with a pattern that I have made before, and yeah, just something small and simple and easy so that I am not super intimidated by all the pieces and having to figure out all the sewing stuff. So I thought this was a perfect piece to start off with again. It was also one of my first patterns I started sewing with when I bought my own sewing machine 2 years ago. So yeah, it was good to get back into it. I also feel like it's a very easy to wear shape top and piece, and that it would be very wearable, and yeah, I like it. So yeah, I think I said the pattern details: Laurence top by Vivian, Shao, Chen. And the fabric, I don't have the details on it besides I bought it from Joann's, and it is a pretty thin fabric, but I really like it and I like the pattern on it. This is a light pink with white flowers on it. I'll kind of get closer to the camera so you can maybe see that. And I really like it. So this is a v-neck, as you can probably tell. I didn't sew the v-neck quite that accurately, I think, so it's kind of laying a little weird here, but that's okay. I also did not iron this top before filming, and so that's probably why it looks a little wrinkly and still has some creases. But I do like this top a lot. I want to make more of it, and yeah, it's pretty simple. The only part that was at least for me, it was kind of this v-neck here, but it was mostly just because there is a bias binding done for the v-neck and the armholes, and so it does have a nice clean edge here, and I just really like how that looks. It wasn't too bad. There's also some bust shaping that you can maybe see on the sides here. I also did them kind of wrong, the placement just got a little weird, but that was definitely on me, but it's not going to stop me from wearing this top. I don't think it makes it look that weird or noticeable. It's only just because I know I didn't quite follow the lines that I drew on where to sew, or where I folded it. So, but yeah, and then this time I did actually make a modification from the first time I sewed this piece, and part of it was that the first time I sewed this, I did not know how to modify sewing patterns, and so I was like, it's going to be a little cropped, but that's okay. And so I do have that top. I do wear it sometimes, but I have to wear high-waisted leggings, the higher-waisted ones, so that my stomach does not show when I wear it. But this time I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to lengthen the top a little bit. So I believe I lengthened it by 2 inches, and I think that was the perfect amount of length. I think it's the perfect length now. And so when I make this again in the future, because I probably will make it again in the future, I will remember that modification I made, and I really like it. I will stand up here so you can see this top on me. And yeah, so I would say my belly button's right here. And so it's not, I would not call it full length, but I think it is just the right amount of in between the cropped and full length, I guess. So yeah, so that is the top, and I am very happy with the results. So that is what I'm wearing, and finished object for the week. So with that, I think that's all I have to say about this. I do have another sewing project, like work in progress, to show you, but I'll do that after all the knitting stuff. So let's just get started with my whips, and we'll start with all the knitted stuff. So the first thing I will talk about is the project I have been talking about for some time now, and that is my Sweet Shop blanket. It is my more longer-ish term project, and so we will just be showing progress on this as we go through it. If you haven't heard me talk about this before, I am making the Sweet Shop blanket by Laura Penrose, and I am using the Pasley Knits Seasons Boxes sock sets from last year, so 2023. And yeah, I'm just kind of going through and using all of them along with a bare yarn, a bare colored yarn, undyed yarn as the main color. So we can just let these sock set colors do their thing. So this time I am now on this past week I used the second sock set from the summer seasons box, and so we've got the really bright colors going now. And this week it was these two colors, and yeah, very bright. I'll show you the last week's colors down here, these four. So now these two, and so, or four. So you can see kind of like they look very different from the spring sock set colorways. But yeah, so it's very fun and bright here. And I do have the way that I'm doing it. Again, this might be a broken record for those who've heard me talk about this for 4 or 5. This is week 6 now, talking about this. But I am doing 4 squares for each sock set. I pretty much use up the entire mini skein, which is the tonal color here. And then for the main colored skein, I guess I only end up using about 20 grams, and so I do have about 80 grams of the full skein variegated left. And I'll figure out what I want to do with them later, but for now we're just trying to get them into the blanket. This week's colors is Granita and Limoncello. I believe the first color is the variegated color, and then the second colorway name is the mini skein. And so those are the ones we've got here. I will say these two colors are not really colors I would pick for myself to make like a full sweater or anything like that, but I think for a project like this, it's really cute and adds a really fun kind of pop of color, especially for the summer. It really matches the summer vibe of the colors. And so yeah, that's just really fun, and that's the progress update on my blanket. We are now at a 6x4 rectangle here. Let me show that all. So that's where we're at. We are halfway through the summer sock sets, so we have 2 more sock sets for that. And yeah, the plan is 1 sock set every week, and so that's been really fun. I'm still thinking about what I want to make with the leftover, they're almost like full skeins of yarn. So yeah, but I'm having a good time just dreaming about what all the rest of the full skeins could be. But anyway, yeah, it's fun. I really like imagining what my yarn can be, while still being able to use the colors and see it kind of worked up into a whole thing. So yeah, so that's been really fun. It's still fun to work on this. Oh, I was gonna say, so far, and I need to make sure I remember and keep note because I'm not tracking this anywhere right now, the number of skeins of the undyed yarn that I'm using. I pretty much use up 2 skeins of the undyed yarn to make, I guess, 24. I think that's 24 squares, and so that's like 12 squares per full skein of undyed yarn. Oh, all of these are fingering weight, but I'm holding it double to get about a DK weight as the pattern states. And I am also, each of my squares are less stitches than the pattern states for the stitch count, because I did the pink and green, they were my first squares I made, and I ran out of my mini skein for, yeah, the green. I ran out of my mini skein for the second one because I did this first square full size as the pattern states, and I ran out. So I just am using a little less. I believe I don't do 2 of the increases for my square. So there's basically less stitches. So my squares are probably a little bit smaller than the pattern, and less stitches. That's basically it. I think I said that about 10 times in different ways. But yeah, just wanted to say that. So yeah, it's going well. I'm really excited for the finished object for this. And I think what's really kind of like keeping me going on this longer term project and like a big project, because they're all like pretty much the same square, but because each square, like I'm only repeating the colors twice, like each of the colors only get 2 squares. So kind of moving through the colors like that, I guess it's kind of like stripes, where it just kind of like keeps you going. And I think even more so working through the different seasons so far, like it's really fun to have just like that color palette of a season and like theme, and then like moving on to something different. So I love the spring colors that were here. I think that it is my favorite colors of all of the seasons boxes, but having the summer ones get started now too is really fun, because they're really bright and yeah, just very different. And so it kind of just adds to the blanket being fun to knit, even though it is kind of just like a whole bunch of the same thing. So yeah, that is progress on my Sweet Shop blanket. And oh yeah, I am using US 6 needles for this, which I believe is the pattern recommendation for needle size. Okay, so next up I have another kind of longer-ish term project that I just want to get a little done every week. This is my Midnight Jasmine wrap by Alexi from Two of Wands, and it's a project that's been a work in progress for a couple years now, but this is the year that I'm going to finish it. It is a triangle shaped shawl, but it's made up of all of these mini crocheted flowers. And so yes, this is my one and only crochet project right now. And what else? Oh, the yarn for this is Lion Brand Two of Wands Color Theory yarn in 6 different colors here. It is a one size shawl, and I'm using a 3.75 millimeter crochet hook for this. My crochet gauge is huge, and so I have to size down quite a lot. But yeah, so here it is. It is going to be a good size shawl. As you can see here, this is like the longer side of the triangle. And last week I just finished up row 6, I think. Yeah, row 6. And so I started row 7 this week, and I got 7 flowers done. And to be honest though, I didn't touch it at all this past week except for today before filming, like this morning. And so I did crochet 7 flowers this morning for the progress for this week. But you know, like, it's fine. I've still made some progress, and that's kind of, I just need to keep working on it every week. Because honestly, once I get going with this, like, it feels pretty good to just like make the flowers and attach it, especially now that I'm doing it more regularly. I don't have to look at the pattern on how to make it, and so that makes it a lot easier for me to like want to work on it. It's less daunting. Like, reading instructions is fine, but sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to look for the pattern on my computer and then pull it up and then scroll to the right directions. So hopefully I think I need 7 more flowers on row 7 to finish row 7. And so that feels really good that I can do 7 flowers in like, I think maybe somewhere within an hour, I think is how long it took me to do 7. I think a little less than an hour, but let's just say an hour. So I should be able to finish row 7 by next week. So yeah, things are looking good with this, and now that there's more flowers, it's looking really pretty and kind of just like as a whole piece. Like it's looking like it's coming together with all the different colors, and so that has been really fun. And yeah, okay, let's fold that up and talk about my next work in progress. So I have some progress on my leg warmers that I am making for my skating coach. Oh, and I have an update because this past week I brought what I had to my skating lesson, and I had my coach try it on to see how it fits on her leg width-wise, because I am doing a 2x2 rib tube and I do not like how increases look on it. So I was just hoping that the stretch of it would accommodate for the leggings, or not the leggings, the leg warmers going from your thigh all the way down to your ankle. And thankfully it worked out. It fits her. It fits all the way up to her thigh, and which means since that is like the biggest part of her leg, it fits all the way down to her ankle as well. So I pretty much feel comfortable with finishing up the leg warmers, and I just have to make them longer now. So let me show you what I have. So last week it was here. This is my stitch marker for where I was last week, which was this entire length was 1 ball of yarn, and the yarn I'm using is Knit Picks Swish DK. Marble Heather is the color. It's this gray color, and each ball is 50 grams. So 50 grams of this got me that length, and then I worked a little bit more this week. I think maybe I got around half of the second ball, and so I'm planning on just using 2 balls of yarn for each side of the leg warmer, and I think that that should be long enough. She wants it to go above her knee, and I think part of this, the bottom also needs to go over the skate boot just a little bit. So I think that length should work out. So yeah, I'm really glad it fit her, and I'm excited to get this done, and I kind of am feeling even more strongly that I want to make some for myself. I have been enjoying working with this yarn. I feel like it's really squishy and soft, and yeah, I mean, I might buy some of it for myself too, for leg warmers for my skating. That way I will feel maybe less guilty if I make a hole in it than if I use some of my hand-dyed yarn to make leg warmers for when I skate. But also I probably still will also make leg warmers with some hand-dyed yarn because it's really pretty. And I also want to make myself like a Surrey pair. I feel like that would be cute, but maybe, is that too fuzzy? I don't know. But also fuzzy is really nice. So anyway, while I finish these, I just have all of those thoughts in my head about what versions I could make for myself. But yeah, these are what they look like. So I guess I'm not planning on making any modifications to increase the width, because it does fit her all the way up her leg. So yeah, because I mean, it really does stretch, and I did try to make it so that it would, the biggest width that it can be would fit around the thigh, and that means basically anything smaller than that should fit. So that's how I'm going with the leg warmers. I'm still, even though she tried it on and it fits, I'm still like kind of nervous about it. I'm like, what if my knitting tension changes and it gets tighter and then it doesn't fit, but then maybe she could just flip it, you know, so that the other side fits better. I don't know. We will see. This is why I just get really nervous when I knit things for other people, and I think that's part of the reason why I don't like knitting for other people, or I don't do it often, is just because I personally get very nervous about it. It has nothing to do with the person I am knitting the thing for. It's just I get really nervous, and I usually knit to be relaxed and not nervous. And so when I'm knitting something that makes me nervous, it makes me sad. So, but I do want to make these for her, and they knitted pretty fast. Like, honestly, I could finish these leg warmers within a week if all I did was work on them, but I am not that kind of knitter. I have to knit on like 10 different things every week. So yeah, we are making some progress. I also think that this is a good project candidate for me for when I go on my skating trip in a couple weeks. I am traveling for a competition. This is the first time I am like traveling on a plane for a skating competition, and I'm going to be very nervous, and there might be some downtime where I would prefer to not spend it doing nothing, because then all I'm going to think about is how nervous I am, and I want to bring some knitting, but it needs to be travel friendly. And I think if I can finish this side before my trip, which is definitely doable, I should just start the cast on for the second one and just have the whole trip to knit the entire thing, because I don't have to think about it. There's like seriously nothing besides 2x2 rib in the round for the entire tube, and so I think it'll be a good one to bring on my skating trip. And then it'd be nice because then I could gift it to my coach after the trip. So that's my plans for now. We still have a couple more weeks to think about it, but I think that that sounds like a good plan to me. These are actually really, really nice and squishy. Like the more I knit on this, the more I want some for myself. And I'm going to have, I bought 6 balls of this because I was not sure how much yarn I was going to need, and I knew that they were going to be long, and so I thought maybe, 3 balls of yarn per leg would be enough yarn, but I think I will have 2 full balls of yarn left after this, and so I've also been dreaming about what those will end up becoming. But yeah, okay, so that is the update on my leg warmers for my skating coach. Okay, and then what else do we have? I have progress on my test knit, my one test knit so far this year. Okay, let me just grab it here. Okay, this is the Mobius Brioche Cowl, is kind of just like the temporary name for it right now. It's just, that's the description of it. And I don't think I described it like at all last time. I just kind of was like, anyway, it is a cowl that has 3 different stitch patterns throughout. There's garter stitch, and then like brioche, like a alternating brioche section, and then a like syncopated brioche section, I think is what it's called. And it looks really great, and I think a lot of patterns that have like a change of stitch pattern is always interesting, because it also helps with kind of working through it, because then you can get through a section and be like, all right, moving on to the next section. And it's 2 colors, although again, you can use however many colors you would like. And I'm excited for this because I am using some handspun yarn for this project. I'm using a handspun Cormo fiber. The colorway is Garden Path, and this is kind of like my little ball of it right now. And it is from Nest Fiber, and I am also using Explorer Knit Denali sock in the colorway Drift. I feel like the colors looked pretty good together, and I've started the second section where I knit with both of the colors, and I'm very happy with how it came out. So let me just hold it up for you. this project is worked in the round. As you can see here, it is worked in the round, but in the end it's more going to be like a double fabric for the cowl. And so you'll make like the length of it and then connect it, do like the twist, and then so it'll wrap around this way, if that makes sense. It's not a put over your head this way type of cowl. So yes, here's how it looks right now. I finished up the garter stitch section here, which is just with my handspun. This is my stitch marker for where I was last week, and so I finished up the garter stitch section. All the striping looks so nice with the handspun and all the different colors, the color changing. And then I started this second section here, and it is worked in like an alternating brioche stitch, and so it kind of like pops out the handspun section, so you can still see from like far away, you can see that striping of the color changing handspun still happening, but it has just kind of like that background color of the Explore Knits Drift, kind of bluish purple, and I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but yeah, the handspun just kind of like pops out a little bit more, and I think it looks really cute like that, like it's just like little puffs of color. And it's been fun to work. I was pretty good at figuring out, I was able to figure out the stitch pattern early-ish, so I didn't have to, once I figured it out, I didn't have to look at the pattern to figure out when, like how to do the stitch pattern, but after that it's been pretty easygoing to figure out, very relaxing to work on, and I am able to work on this in the round. Or sorry, what I meant is I can work on this. I am a magic loop type of knitter when it comes to like smaller circumference knitting, but because I cannot do small circumference, like really small circumference needles, I can't do. This is probably the smallest circumference I can do, and I think that this might be 16-inch. Does this look like a 16-inch circular needle? Something like that, and that's the smallest I can do. Or is it 12? No, it might be 16. Or is it 12? Anyway, I actually think it's 16. It's the smallest I can do, or to feel comfortable with, and even then actually it kind of feels a little awkward, but I do appreciate that I can do it all in one circle and not have to do magic loop for this. Yeah, I'm like, do I have anything else to say just besides I'm loving it. I think it's working out well. I like my color choices for this. I can't wait to get to the third section where it'll just be with the tonal color I have. Excuse me. And yeah, another handspun project in the works. Makes me very happy. And the test, oh, sorry, I did not say the designer for this test knit and for this cowl design. It is Bridget, who's my friend. She's the one who taught me how to spin at Flock last year. So this is my first time test knitting for her, and it's been going well, and very happy about it, very excited for this pattern, and yeah, it just feels good. I'm excited to have another cowl in the works. My first cowl I've ever knitted. I've been knitting for so long, I just have never knitted a cowl until sometime, was it like end of last year, beginning of this year? I think it was a little bit end of last year. My first cowl pattern was a pattern by Bridget as well, and so I just loving the cowls by Bridget, and yeah, I'm just excited to get this done so I can wear it. This is a one size pattern, but it's very easy to change up your stitch counts if you want it to be shorter or less wide or more wide, whatever you want. In the instructions, it does give some hints on if you want to change up your the size of the cowl on how you can do that. So that's really nice. And I am using US 4 size needles to make this. I did have to size up one size for the needles because I think I knit, actually does that mean I knit tighter? I knit tighter than Bridget, I believe. I think she also states in the pattern that she does knit kind of loosely, and so you might have to size up your needles, which I did. Okay, that's all I have for the test knit of the Mobius Brioche Cowl, and I think it looks so good. I'm loving the Handspun yarn on this too. I just like can't wait to have it on my neck. Okay, that is that test knit. Okay, I said okay like 10 times. But I'm excited to talk about the next things as well because these will be kind of new. I have progress on a project that I have not knit on at all this year until a few days ago. I was able to get more knitting time in this week, so I'm feeling really happy about that, and I felt very motivated to work on a project that I just want to get done. And it's not that I don't like it, it's just it was an older project. I want the finished object, and I just need to knit on it. This is the Traveler Shell by Andrea Mowry. It is the like cardigan, but like sleeveless cardigan. And I am using Pasley Knits Sailing Sport base, which is the 100% baby alpaca base in the colorway Golden Pavillion. I've made so much progress on this week because I really want the finished object, but also because if you follow Andrea Mowry, or I guess La Mercerie on Instagram, they said that they are doing a spin it to knit it, I think is what it's called, spin it to knit it, knit along, and I want to participate this year. And it's basically all of the like traveler named patterns by Andrea Mowry, and I want to join so bad, and I want to spin something for it. But with all of that said, I want to finish the Traveler Shell that I have on my needles already, so that I won't feel burnt out by this stitch pattern by the time I want to knit the shawl. I really want to knit the shawl for this knit along. The knit along's like an entire year, so I think I have time to figure that out. But let me show you my progress right now. Okay, so this is worked bottom up, and I am knitting size 2 because I wanted like a pretty oversized and drapey feel for this. And let me show you where my stitch marker was from the last time. Okay, the last time I worked on this, the stitch marker was here for the body. And so and look how long this is. Okay, can you still see the stitch marker? Okay, it's getting trapped. Okay, just remember the length of body. And I think that's part of the reason why I didn't really enjoy working on this that much when I cast it on, because I was like, wow, it's so long. Because again, it's a cardigan, like it's an open thing, and so it's worked flat, and so the front and back, it's all in one piece. But I worked, okay, do you see where my needle is here? Look at that, where my stitch marker is, all the way up till here. And I also split for front and back, and I finished the right front, which is right here. And I do enjoy with Andrea Mowry's patterns, like the kind of drop shoulder patterns, that there's actually, you cast on stitches to make that drop shoulder like even more wider than the actual body itself. And so this, I was worried that all the stitches fell off my needle. This is where I split for the underarm for the front, but you do cast on stitches here, so that, and you'll do it for the back as well. So it's actually going to fold like this. It's going to look like this for the sleeve on the side with the body. Oops. wait, like this. So I do really like that. And yeah, this is, I finished the front, right front. So it'll be, I guess it kind of just doesn't really look like anything right now besides just like a long piece of fabric, but it should be kind of like that right now. Yay. Okay. And I think because I feel motivated again to get this done so that I have time in between making this and the traveler shawl. I just feel like I want to knit on this all the time. And also, I really like this yarn. Again, this is the 100% Baby Alpaca Yarn Base by Pasley Knits, and it's just so drapey, it's so soft, and I think it's going to be like the perfect feel and drape for this pattern. It's a sport weight yarn, and I think that the pattern does call for, it actually has like two different kinds of yarn held together, but I think the combination ends up being about like sport weight, and so yeah, so far I think that this is a good yarn combination for this pattern. And I do really like the colors. I really do think there's something about like this green, yellow, blue combination that I really like. And I wouldn't say, like, there's no pink in it, so it doesn't initially seem like a colorway I would like, but I enjoy it a lot. So yeah, here it is. And yeah, so next what I have to do is do this same thing that I did for the right front, but for the left front, and then do the back. I think the back's going to feel like it's gonna take a long time to work through, but I should just tell myself it's better than working through that whole bottom section first. It just felt like it took forever. Also, this stitch pattern is like, it's like ribbed, but vertical, horizontal stripes. So there are some rows where you have to purl 2 rows back to back. But then there's also some where you knit back to back rows as well. So I think it all kind of evens out in the end. And yeah, I didn't realize that there was also some decreases happening at this like front edge here, but I guess that makes sense. But yeah, there it is. I made so much progress on this. I'm very happy with it. I do love working with this yarn, and it is a great project for I think knitting and watching TV or something, which is what I was doing while knitting on this. And just because the rows are long, so you really can just, you don't have to switch your the stitch that you're knitting, right? If you're like, okay, the next row is a knit row, and you just knit for the entire row. The next row is a purl row. Kind of sucks, but then you just know you just have to purl the entire row. So yeah, that is my Traveler Shell by Andrea Mowry. And while we're talking about it, and I mentioned the spin it to knit it, knit along, I really have been wanting to make the Traveler Shawl ever since the pattern came out, but the thing is, I want to do like a combination spin for it. I want to have 3 different braids, potentially 3 different braids, and spin it all in a 3-ply and then make the shawl. That's kind of been like my dream for it, mostly because that's how Andrea Mowry did hers, and I love her versions. And we'll see. I have some ideas. My friend Shreya, we've been talking about it, and she sent me some pictures of her ideas for the shawl as well. And so one of them I might copy, the Nest Fiber December colorways. Like, I love that fiber braid. I love the colorways, so it's a potential for me to use that because I really do love it. But yeah, we'll see. I think I still have some time. Oh, but I love that. I love that idea. So yeah, we're gonna think on it, but the plan is for me to spin something for the Traveler Shawl. Also, the other Traveler patterns are really cute too, but the Traveler Shawl, I really, really really want to make. Okie dokie, next up I have my 2 new cast-ons this week. I was planning to just cast on one of these, but then I was feeling really happy about having extra knitting time this week, and so I cast on a second thing as well. Let me talk about them in the order that I cast them on. So the first one is it's a wrap. Okay, just trying to get this yarn here. Okay, I think I might have mentioned this on a previous podcast, but didn't show it at all because I didn't cast it on, but I finally cast it on. Since I finished my, oh my gosh, what was it called? My Mackenzie Shawl by Sari Nordland. I wanted to make another very long scarf slash shawl. So, and I've been wanting to make this since this pattern came out. It is the Verglas wrap by Lindsey Fowler, and I think it's a really cute idea for using sock sets, because that's was kind of the idea for this pattern, was to use, so it uses, the idea is to use either 3 or 4 sock sets that includes the mini, so the full skein plus the mini in this wrap. And the idea is that there's kind of just like blocks of stitch patterns and colors, and so for each sock set you'll have the full skein in a stitch pattern, but as you're like knitting it sideways, in the middle of that section is when you use the mini skein, and there's like a cute little different stitch pattern that you can use for it. So I cast it on, and my idea for this was to use my soup sock sets from Coast to Coast Yarn, because there's 4 sock sets, and I was like, that's a perfect one project to use all of the soup sock sets because they all go so well together. So I started this, and the stitch pattern is just, it's a pretty simple, like, it's like a 2x2 rib, but it's like a garter, there's like garter stitch in between. I think she calls them barn planks in the pattern, but I don't know if that's like the official stitch pattern. Yeah, like if that's a like official, or like what, I don't know, did she call it that, or do other people also call this stitch pattern that? I'm not sure, but yeah, this is, yeah, just how it starts. I'm very excited about this because, again, I've been wanting to cast it on for so long, and so I'm happy that it's like started. It'll probably take me more than 4 months. I was trying to think through it. I was like, if it takes me a whole month to work through one sock set, then it'll take me 4 months. But I think it might take me a little longer than a month to get through one sock set, so maybe a little longer than 4 months. But let me just show you all of the sock sets together, just in case, because I think the last time I did that was when I got the yarn. But here's the sock sets. These are only 3 because I did just, you know, I had to wind up the one I'm using. But let me hold up the 4th one. Yay! So this first one, let me just go through the colors now since I have them here, and all the labels. Also, the labels are just the cutest thing. It has all these vegetables on it. Oh my gosh, camera, please focus. Let me hold it here while it focuses and I talk about the colors. So the first one I decided to start with is Split Pea, which is the variegated colorway. So it is the one that, it's the full skein. It's Split Pea, which I think matches perfectly with this color. It's like a dirty green with some brown. Split Pea. And then the mini skein is Crusty Loaf, which is this brown. So I need to see like how, basically when I knit, while I'm knitting this, I'm going to knit this same stitch pattern until I get about halfway through the skein, which is how it should probably come out to. There is like a row count for this, so I'm just gonna have to see which one I reach first, either the row count or half of the skein. So, and then once I do about half, I will start with that separate, I'll start using the mini skein to do like a little stripe of a different stitch pattern. I think there's some like lace chart and some other like cool kind of patterned little strip section for the mini skeins, and you can choose wherever they go. So I'm excited for that. And then I think the next order I will do, so once I finish that sock set, I'll go in with this one, which is potato for this. I really like this skein. I almost like wanted to get a sweater quantity of this colorway, but for this collection I decided just the sock sets. And then the mini skein for this is Leek, which is like this green color. And then after that, my plan is to go in with this, which is Hearty Stew for this brown reddish orange. And then Creme Fraiche, which is this white mini skein. And then I will say, okay, this last one, this is Borscht, this really deep red. It's so pretty. And I don't know what I am going to do yet. I think because, so this sock set came with 2 minis, and these 2 color minis are already in the other sock sets. It is Creme Fraiche and Leek. And so I was like, which one do I want to use for this? I think I'll probably go with the white, but now I just had the thought, what if the color bleeds when I wash it all together? It might kind of be sad, but then that means it'll also leak onto the rest, or like bleed onto the others. I need to think about it, but since this is going to be the last sock set that I work with, I'll have time to see if maybe I want to do like a pre-wash of this color just to make sure it doesn't do that to the whole rest of the project. But yeah, I just had that thought right now, and I don't know what to do about that. But again, it's the last skein, and we're months away from working with it, so it should be okay. But yeah, I'm really excited to be starting my soup shawl. That's what I'm going to call it. So when I say soup shawl, it's the Verglas wrap that I'm using coast to coast soup sock sets for. I'm really happy that I found a good pattern to use with all of the sock sets that I got for this soup collection, just because I think it's so cute, and I wanted them all to be together. Even though the socks also are really cute just by themselves, I think it's fun to have a whole project with all of them all in one. So that is that. There are kind of like 2 sizes. One, the size like medium, I think, is the 3 sock sets, and size large, which is the one I'm doing, is 4 sock sets. So it's just going to be longer. And I am using US 5 needles for that, which I believe is the recommended needle size for this pattern. Okay, next up, I have this was another cast on that I was going to not cast on until maybe this week, so that I won't have 2 new cast ons in 1 week. But what are you gonna do? I just really wanted to cast this on. Okay, I'm just trying to grab this here. Okay. Since I finished my Yoon sweater, which used the Woolberry Rewind colorway from last year, and one of my goals this year is to use all the Rewind colorways I bought last year, and we're already at the end of February, which is 2nd month, and so I wanted to kind of be on track by doing 1 colorway per month, like project to work on. So I decided to cast on my 2nd Woolberry Rewind project from last year. Rewind from last year. This time, I was thinking about doing it in order from last year, but I was like, no, I just like couldn't think about what project I wanted to do with the February colorway from last year. So I just went in and cast on a Cumulus blouse. It's been a very long time since I cast on a Cumulus blouse, but I decided it's time to do it, and so this will be my 3rd ever Cumulus blouse by Petite Knit, and I am using the October colorway from Woolberry, and it is in the Berry Surrey base, and I'm holding it double. And yes, I have already split for sleeves on this, as you can see here. And this is actually the first time I am knitting with the current Berry Cerise base, which is a, oh, I have it right here because I wanted to show you this colorway in the skein. So this is the new, although it's been a while, has it been 1 year already? But I'm going to keep mentioning that there was a time, recently-ish, in the past year, I think, Woolberry changed out her Berry Cerise base, and it's named the same thing, and I don't want it to be, I don't want to get confused because I think it will make a difference, especially when I talk about yardage. I don't really talk about yardage here, but when I put it in my notes on Ravelry, I need to know because this Cerise base is 65% Surrey alpaca, 35% silk. I think this one has more silk than the older Berry Cerise base, but this one has way more yardage. This one has 437 yards for 50 grams. The other Cerise bases that I've used from other hand-dyed yarn, most of them, like Explorer Knits Cerise, is like 300 something yards, and this one has over 400. So I think that this Cerise is supposed to act more like the weight of a mohair, because I think mohair has about a similar yardage for 50 grams, and so I think it is kind of thinner, and you can kind of tell that seems less fluffy, but still soft. But I haven't knit with it yet, and so I have no idea if I can really tell a difference. And so I was very excited to finally cast this on with this new Woolberry Cerise base to be able to see if I can tell a difference. And I won't be able to tell unless I finish it and start wearing it. But it does feel a bit thinner. I think it still is thicker or just more fluffy than a mohair. But it does feel pretty light. I think that the fluff that comes off of each strand is just like slightly less than the older Cerise base, but I like it so far. It feels similar to knit with, and yeah, I'm excited to have another Cumulus blouse because I have a lot of sweater quantities of Cerise that I'm just like, oh, I can make a Cumulus blouse with that. I think it'd be cute as a Cumulus blouse, and I only have, I feel like I say that a lot, and I only have 2 Cumulus blouses. My first one was with mohair because I didn't know that there was anything softer than mohair. And then I discovered Cerise, and then I made one with Cerise, and it was an Explorer Knits colorway. I think it was Fia, and I love that one, and I love them, so I don't know why I don't knit more of them. It's probably just because there's so many other new patterns that I want to make, but it was time to cast on another one. That's all I'm trying to say. So yeah, I am looking forward to seeing how this base feels compared to the older Cerise base. But so far it's looking good. Gauge-wise, it's looking good. I am using the recommended needle size, which is a US 7, I believe. Yes. And yeah, this colorway, I will say this, I do like this colorway, but it came out different knitted up than I kind of was thinking it would knit up. It looks more brown, like overall, like that orangey brown color than the rest of the colors. And even like from the skein, it looks like there's, I know it's a different skein because could be variance in the skein, but there are some pink spots in there, and definitely like there's that like green, overall like that silvery blue kind of main background color, and for sure a lot of this brown orangey color. But when you wind it up, I mean, it just looks mostly that brownish color, which I'm fine with. But yeah, I was just like, wow, it just looks so different in the skein. And I know that I'm holding 2 strands together, so it's probably kind of like muddling more of those colors together. But yeah, it just looks way more brown than I was thinking it would. But I think it still is a good color. And I am excited for the finished objects for this. It knit up really fast. I think I forgot how fast this sweater knits up, just because the gauge is pretty big and it's really fluffy, so it kind of fills in those holes of the big gauge. But yeah, I am working now just on the body and the round, and so that should be pretty okay to work through. For some reason, I feel like knitting all the way up until you split for sleeves or join under the arms feels faster for some reason, even though you're working more stitches in the round, or flat for when you're working the v-neck. Feels like it goes way faster than knitting the body. So I might be stuck in this section of knitting for some time, but I'm happy to be where I'm at right now in this project, considering I cast this on, I think it was like 2 days ago. So yeah, that is my last new cast on for the week. But I'm happy about it. It's working towards a goal for this year, and so I don't feel really bad about it. Also, just cast on projects if it makes you feel happy. But also, if it feels overwhelming, I am kind of feeling overwhelmed by how much projects I have on my needles at one time. So I'm also trying to make progress there as well. I did finish 2 projects last week, so. Okay, and then that is all I have for my knitted projects. I don't have any spinning things to show you all just because they look the same. I'm still working on the same spinning projects. My sweater spin of the John Arbin Textiles fiber, I've still been really enjoying it. It looks the same. So I don't have it here to show it to you. And then I'm also still working on my Union fiber, the sock fiber. I say sock because I want to make socks with that specifically because there's nylon in it. So I'm still working on that as well. But yeah, so nothing new on that end. But I do have my other sewing project I was hinting at the beginning of this video that I want to show you. Is it interesting to see sewing projects in the middle of being worked on? Well, maybe because this is one that I had just like the small strip of fabric to show you what I was using. This is the Nephiline blouse, also by Vivian, Shao, Chen, the same sewing designer as the top I am wearing. And here is what I have so far with this top. So this fabric I got also from Joann's, and I think it was like the same kind of like design-ish fabric, but I mean, it's slightly different. They're both like the same kind of fabric, so it's thin, but this one has some pink and orange, blue flowers on it with a white background, and this top it's so cute. It's another one I've made previously, but I wanted to make one in a really cute print because the first version of this that I made was just a plain like tan colored one. So I was able to get these pieces worked up together. It's going to have buttons in the middle, or like, yeah, it's a buttoned top, and it has, okay, here's the ruffly section at the top. It is one of the most annoying things for me is to do any kind of like ruffly thing or gathering for sewing. I find it so finicky, and I just like, it takes me so long. And I don't know if it's something you get faster at, but I find it very annoying, but I love how it looks, and so I will just deal with it. But look how cute the ruffle is. That goes all the way around the neckline. Let me just hold it here, yeah. It's so cute, and I think it matches with the pattern print, just being like really cute and flowery and light and airy. So yeah, this is what I have so far. This pattern does have sleeves, 3/4 sleeves, and there's some pleats on them as well, and so I do have to still sew those on. And I totally forgot, but it is like a set-in sleeve, and I know for knitting, we're like, set-in sleeves usually mean seaming, but for sewing, you do have to sew it. And I find the technique for doing sleeves, sewing sleeves like this, very fascinating, because the fabric is flat. You cut the shape of the sleeve flat, and then you put in like basting stitches all the way around, and then you like kind of do the gathering that you do for the ruffle, but just slightly so that the sleeve will curve. And if you get it just right, it'll fit to sew around the circle. It's crazy how that works and how all of that measuring works out. Seems kind of like magic. It's very cool, but also annoying, because you have to get it just right. You have to pull to get that curve to be just right. So, but it's so worth it, I feel like, for the end product. Yeah. But anyway, I've been wanting to make this version. Like, when I bought this fabric, I had this pattern in mind to make it, and I've been wanting to make it ever since I bought the fabric, which I think was like in 2022. So just to see just this part of it even is so cute, and I can't wait to have it done. So maybe I will get it done this weekend. It's easier for me to sew stuff on the weekend because I feel like I have to take out so much things to actually sew. Like, I have to bring out my sewing machine, I have to bring out the ironing board, I have to bring out, I don't know, just more stuff, and it's kind of annoying. And so I want to do like longer chunks of sewing if I'm going to bring out all of that, bring out the iron, like plug that in. So weekends seem just a bit more approachable for me to do the sewing because I have longer chunks. So it feels like grabbing everything makes it more worth it time-wise, versus when I sew, if I sew after work, it just kind of feels like I bring it out, do a little bit, and then it's like I have to bring it all back in. So yeah, that is my update on my Nephiline blouse, and I'm really excited about that too. Okay, and I have one acquisition this week. It is one of the Woolberry skeins for the collective. This is Button Jar, and I got one skein in Very DK. I realize it's not a surprise because I know I've been buying a lot of fingering weight yarn, like that's the yarn base I've defaulted to, but there's been a lot of DK weight things that I've been wanting to make, and I'm like, I don't have DK weight stuff in my stash. So I am thinking, if I don't feel like I need a sweater quantity of something, or I don't have like a very specific project in mind for a collective colorway, although I really should also not buy sweater quantities every month from the collective, I want my default yarn to be like the DK weight, maybe, because it could become a lot of things. I want to make DK weight socks. I have one pair I made a few years ago, and I love them when it's really cold, and I don't know why I don't make a DK weight pair of socks. So option for that. But yeah, I think this is really cute. I do think the speckles looked better on the fingering weight than it does here on the DK weight, but it could also just be my skein. It could also just be where it is. Maybe I can't see the speckles on here, but overall it's still a great color, and I'm happy to have it. So yeah, that is my one skein from the collective this month, and that's my one acquisition. So I think that's all. That's everything I have to talk about this week. And yeah, I felt really happy and like re-energized again this week to knit, since I created more time for me to knit this week. Life-wise, I am still studying for my exam that I kind of previously talked about. I just, it's stressful. It's very stressful, and I think I kind of burnt myself out of it for like the past few weeks that I just went really, really hard, and then I just I couldn't. And so this week I tried to really kind of make sure I took breaks and some days off from working on it because I just need that reset time. So yeah, I'm hoping now that I feel better about it, and then just have some more of that knitting time, and I feel better about it as well. So yeah, but other than that, it's been going well. This past week for skating wise, I had a not a dress rehearsal. I wore my skating dress to one of my practices so that I can get reacquainted with wearing my skating dress and running my program. And this week was also my double run through of my program week. So almost every day I went skating. There was one day I didn't because I was very tired. But the plan was, at least with my coach for my lessons this week, I did double run-throughs, which means running my program twice, back to back. And my program is only, I think it's 1 minute and 35 seconds, which is short. It sounds very short. When you compare it to what the professional skaters and the skaters who, the programs at the Olympics, their length of programs, I think, actually, I should know this, but I don't, because it does not pertain to me, and I will never skate at programs that are this long. I don't think, anyway. I think the short programs might be 3 minutes something, and their long programs are 4 minutes something. So 1 minute 30 seconds sounds very short, but for me, as a beginner skater, so it feels long. Actually, it feels short. When you perform it, you're oh, that was fast, but it's very tiring. Very, 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 very tiring. So basically, all I'm trying to say is running it twice back to back is very tiring. And so I was very tired, but I think it should help with my stamina so that when I do run it once, I won't be dead at the end. So that was this week. I'm getting more nervous about the competition that's coming up. There's some things I changed in my program, or my coach changed in my program to make it look better, choreography wise. And did I mention this? We took out one of my spins. I had my camel spin in my program we started working on it last year, and I just could not get it up to par for this competition. And part of the idea with the programs too is you put in things that you can't do in your program, so it forces you to work on it, and so hopefully by the end you'll get whatever that element is. But at the end of the day, if you can't, you just put in something that's a bit easier, just something that you can do. And so I switched out my camel spin, it's a spin where you are on one leg and your other leg is up like this, and you're spinning like that. Does that make sense? If you've seen that. The spin is very hard for me. So I switched it out with a scratch spin, which is you're just standing up straight and then your legs just cross. And so it just looks like you're standing up straight. But I can do that a lot more consistently. So we switched that, added some more arms, which feels better, makes it feel more smooth, trying to work on presentation. So yeah, it's all been going well. I'm a little stressed overall, but I'm reminding myself that I do it because I like it and that I have fun. So anyway, that is kind of it, I think, for my life updates and knitting updates for this week. And yeah, I hope you're all having a great day on whatever day you're watching this. Let me know what you've been working on while listening or watching this podcast. And I will see you all in next week's podcast. Hope you all have a great week. Bye.